Pashaparo, YNet7. Thank you for choosing the replay. All right, we're rocking with the tarot files. Go ahead and get you guys knocked out a little early. I feel like some of y'all gonna go to sleep early today. Need you to have this in your mind so you can sleep on it. How was y'all entry into quote unquote 2021, huh? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what the core for next week is gonna be. We're actually working on the 4th through the 10th of January 2021. Now keep in mind, you may be seeing this at a later time, and that could be because despite the date, despite when I'm doing it, it's the right time for you to actually see it at that time. So if it doesn't apply to you, then either the part that does apply to you, take that, or maybe something in here is about people around you instead of you yourself. All right. So today we're going to be using the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot deck. And I got another deck on the way. So we'll get that in circulation for you. I be kind of choosy about the cards I use. I don't know. Kind of like everything in Virgo. Kind of. And I was looking for something, and I didn't see a lot, but I was gonna get some more. But I'll get some more shortly. If you know some really cool card decks, put those in the comments below. I'll check them out and see what you guys talking about. I looked at like over 100, probably about 100 different ones last week. All right, let's see what we're talking about here for the core. All right. All right, y'all know how we do here. Give me a second. We're going to get it on the screen for you. Because I think you know where you're going. This is a good card for the core next week after all that we've been talking about the last couple weeks. And hold on. All right, so what we got here is we got the 6 of Swords. And that's going to be your decisions, right? You're going to have to take some action, right? You're going to have it's about your freedom, it's about change. Interactions, of course, and the mental world. All right, so let's see what we talking about at the core here. All right, so the Six of Swords is the Lord of earned success. See? So great way, great core. So the withdrawal from the conflict zone to a peaceful place, intense and thorough work of the mind, right? So I'm gonna put in the notes here. You made it out, or you're gonna make it out / made it out of conflict to find peace. Now we're gonna go through all this now. You know how we do. We go through thoroughly. So the events is searches for peace and discovery of a solution in a situation departure, right? So in the business is transaction or transition to another work, change a company's name, re-registration, almost doesn't influence wage, though possible insight. So let's say changing what you're working on, right? And the relationship is like a temporary breakup, departure in order to earn, change of a relationship concept, changes of the outer conditions, and only in the last place. Migration together. So you're leaving behind what doesn't work, right? Which is great because this was the, if you watch last week's video, this is what the huge decision was on the table. Were you going to go or were you going to stay? And it looks like you're choosing to go for what's best for you. All right, so you're leaving behind what doesn't work for what's best for you. And that's going to cause a recovery in your life. Oh, you know what? I already got this up there. I could get this out the way. That causes recovery in your life. And the psychological characteristics is a person in searches for changes, sensitive, traveler, avoiding conflicts, right? So you're on your journey. Oh man, this is awesome. So you're on your journey, right? And when it says sensitive, I'm not thinking like, you know, like I'm thinking like empath, you know what I mean? Like you're going empathic. Seeing the unseen, right? Because remember, part of the thing was there was some element of blindness before. So now you're seeing what you can see. You're sensitive, and you're seeing the unseen and avoiding conflicts, right? And conflict doesn't always mean like you know, fights, like real like battles and stuff. It could actually be just like you know, you saying that you wanna get a new car, but you keep talking about how you don't have enough money for your current state of life, right? So what I mean is that's a conflict. And it's not to say that you can't you can't do it. It's to say that what you're speaking into existence is in conflict with what you're saying that you want it to exist for you. You see what I mean? So you would have to actually, there you go. Go beyond where you're currently at. You would have to leave behind your current state. You would have to change your relationship, right? To be more conducive of what you're saying you want in life instead of what you're saying you're tired of or bored of or want something to be different with. You know what I mean? So that's what's going to have to happen, and that's going to cause a recovery for you. Now, the advice is step aside from the place where you are being provoked, right? And the warning is, while changing conditions, you won't change yourself, okay? The situation will get better if you put any effort, okay? So you gotta work on you to change what's around you. You feel me? Because, like, you got to work on you to change what's around you, because, like I said, if you just change your environment, but you don't actually change anything about yourself, right? Then you're going to, even though you feel like you're in a different place at the moment, you're going to attract a similar situation and vibe because you haven't changed yourself. That's why, like, we get out of relationships sometimes, and you know, you got this whole new relationship and you're like, everything looks different. And you when you find out later on and you're like, man, that's the same thing I went through before or whatever. Part of it is you know what I mean? And there's two sides of that coin. It could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at what you're trying to accomplish and decide if the success you're having is good for where you're trying to get to or bad. Like, if you're trying to be a social butterfly and can't nobody stand you, then that's going to be bad for what you're trying to accomplish. If you're in hermit mode and you're working on your grind and you're building your success and people don't like you, then or you know, don't like you, like, to, you know, don't want to hang out, don't want to be around you, that might be cool because you might be so focused that you're killing the vibe of fun because you're so serious all the time. So you wind up by yourself because you're always working. And if that's your goal, to get to your goal as fast as possible, then that may be good for you. You know what I'm saying? What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. So when you see another person have, you know, when you see that person driving a Bentley, you know what I mean? And you got two choices. You could be happy for them. You can find joy in their success because now you could be like, wow, they made it, man. That makes me feel like I can make it too. Or you could be envious. You could hate. You know what I'm saying? You could say how much your life could be better, or you could start thinking about things like their life must be like this or was like that, or because they had this opportunity, they got to do it. That ain't got nothing to do with you. See, you don't know what they went through to get there. You don't know what they've been through to actually get to the point they are that enabled them to have that success as you're looking at it. You don't know. You can't judge them. You don't know them. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, if you work on your talents and goals, that will help you shine because you're actually who you're supposed to be right now based on where you're trying to get to and what your purpose is in life. Even if you don't see it, bam, seeing the unseen. See, this week coming up, you're going to start to see the unseen. You're going to see how maybe you felt less of yourself. Maybe you thought other people were doing better than you, but you're going to see how they weren't doing better than you. They were just doing them. Okay? And you've been doing you whether you realize it or not. That's what all these last few weeks have been talking about. You have been going through what you've been going through, what we've been going through, because we're transitioning into something else. If you want to, the choice is yours. So it seems like you've made the choice. You're going to be, let's take a look at it. All right, because this is the core. This is excellent. This is what we needed to see after all those last couple weeks. So you made it out of. You're gonna make it out of the conflict that you've been facing. Now you're gonna find peace, right? Changing what you're working on. Remember, you're working for everybody else. Now you're gonna start working on yourself. You're leaving behind what doesn't work for you, and you're gonna replace that with what's best for you. You know what I mean? That could be a new car. That could be a new house. Maybe you're leaving the house because it's crazy ridiculous, and you're gonna downsize and get the apartment, and you're gonna save. You're gonna have extra money, and you're gonna feel better. Whatever it is that you're gonna go through that transition, you need to know that you're leaving behind what doesn't work for you for what's best for you, and you've already thought about it for a long time, and you've made the choice, and this is the best choice for you. It's going to cause recovery in your life on your journey. You're becoming more empathic. You're seeing the unseen that you couldn't see before, and you're avoiding conflicts and pitfalls that you would have normally fell in and felt like that was a part of your struggle. You see what I mean? Your experience now has taught you enough to know to avoid them. And that's going to change some things in your life for the better. All right, so let's take a look at your past feelings and attributes. But yeah, that's a great core because I find joy to see that for you because it's been rough. It's been rough, but you made it through. You made it through. You made it out. You made the right choices. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important. And now you get to heal. That's the best part. You know, because when you're wounded, your body needs time to heal. When you're injured, your body needs time to heal. You need the recovery. But if you keep it takes extra energy to recover. It takes extra energy for your body to heal. And if you keep draining yourself, then not only do you not have the energy to function on a normal basis, but you definitely are in a deficit for energy to try to repair yourself. You see what I'm saying? So as you take on more injuries by staying in the same situation, you only compound the situation. You only compound the injury. You only compound the damage to yourself. And the drainage happens so much faster. And then you're in a spiral. So you're coming out of a depression right now, you know? All right, let's see what your past feelings and attitudes were. Yep, that's what we just talked about. All right, here we go. Let me get on the screen for you. Man, this is excellent. This is exactly the way you needed to start off the new year. All right, so we got the Hermit Mode, right? The Virgo, natural Virgo. So the old name of this, like we said, was a suspended lamp, right? Inner guidance, you know what I mean? So you had to go inside yourself, right? Road to thyself, right? You found yourself. You see what I'm saying? That's what was important. So your past feelings and actions as you found yourself. We're going to put all this together for you because I'm excited to see where this is going now. We knew this moment was coming. So congratulations. All right. So you found yourself. Now, the general meaning was loneliness, going out from the world to oneself, esoteric wisdom, right? So that's basically what we're saying. You went locked in. You found yourself. You studied. Remember we was talking about how you studied before. You built up your wisdom. And now you're ready to take action, right? Because of that. So now the events are presence in the solitude, getting deep into oneself, concentration, independent action. See what I mean? So you got away from what wasn't working, making moves on yourself. Right? Making moves on your own, because sometimes the team slow you up. Sometimes it's not that they slow you up, but they steer you in the wrong direction. So you went inside yourself, you built up the wisdom, the knowledge you needed, and now you can make the moves on your own. So you feel empowered from that, I think your past feelings and attitudes, like we said, they empowered you. You found empowerment, right? And now, now you know what to do with it. That's the key. Let me get this back up here. All right. That's the important part. Now you know what to do with it. You know its value. There you go. Because before, it's not that you didn't know what to do with it. It's not that you didn't see it. It's that you didn't know what its value was. And that's why, like, you didn't chase after it the way you chased after some other things in your life at that time. You see what I'm saying? But you had to chase after those things at the time. That was perfect. That's what you were supposed to be doing, because it showed you the results of what that was going to do for you. You see what I'm saying? So that you could want more later on, right? So your business is personal enterprise, own business path, inner reserves, decreases in the production losses, right? So remember it was talking about production losses before. So now you're decreasing production loss, so you're more efficient. You're more efficient now. Oh shit. They ain't ready for you. All right, so hold on. Let's get some light up in here. Okay, so you're more efficient at what you do now, you know? And you're unique craft experts, elaborate business, custom work, pieces and articles, okay? Now you're getting custom. You customizing. And I'm gonna put customizing life, because I think there was a time not too long ago where you were just taking what was given to you. You know, you were just taking what was given to you because you felt like you didn't have a choice. You felt like that was the best you could do. You felt like that was all you had. That was your only option. You know, maybe going back to that car, maybe you get a new car, maybe you get a new house. But before maybe getting that business, like you said, you're starting to create more. Maybe you were doing your business and you had this like cookie cutter type style to you, to what you were doing, and now you freaking it. You know what I'm saying? You bringing out, you going to a level with it that you never been before. You know what I'm saying? Like you're customizing your world. You started with customizing yourself, right? You went into yourself, you studied yourself, You found what you didn't like about yourself. You found what was in conflict about you with yourself, and you started making changes. That's customizing. You started customizing the world around you. This is what you were doing not too long ago. You started customizing yourself, and then that caused you to start customizing the world around you. And then because your tolerances changes, your expectations change, your wants change, your desires change, and desires cause addiction. Desire forms all addictions. You see what I'm saying? So because your addictions changed, you wanted more for yourself, you wanted better, that only left you to customize your life now. Now when you go out and you make that same request and they say, well, here's all we got, you say, you know what, I'll wait for what I want. Or you don't put yourself in a position because your business is going a little better, you're more efficient with what you're doing. Now you can say, you know what, I want it now, but here's a little more so you can give me what I want instead of what you got. You see what I'm saying? You're able to customize your life. You don't put in the work. All right? So your relationship in the past, you were a loner. It seemed difficult relationships. You had no emotions. You long in solitude, widowhood, love to only one person. That was yourself, right? Most likely. You know what I mean? You could only love yourself to find yourself. All right? You had to do that. I'm getting these notes down for you. Give me a second. You know what I mean? So you was a loner. Right? But being alone doesn't mean that you are alone. Okay? Because you was married to the game. You was putting that work in on building your craft. You see what I'm saying? And that's why now this is the time where it's paying off for you, because you put all the work in already. So the health is pay close attention to the bones, spine, and your state of mind. You know what I mean? Got your mind right. You know what I mean? Get your mind right. Pay attention to that, because you don't want to, you're stepping out of it now. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean you can't relapse. You know what I mean? So be careful not to relapse and slip back into old habits, right? That's how I'm gonna put it for you. Be careful not to relapse. You see it differently now. Now make sure you stick with it. Discipline. Remember what the quotes on Y97. You know, the hardest part of having any wisdom is constantly remaining disciplined to the knowledge. So make sure you remain disciplined. And that's part of what made you a loner, because your discipline changed, and like we said, you started customizing your situation because of your discipline. You know, so the psychological characteristics is consciousness, freedom from the alien attitude system, right? So you done broke free from normative social influences. That's how I see that. You know what I mean? That peer pressure don't hit you the way it did before. You know what I'm saying? So peer pressure don't bother you no more. All right, so look, right? So the advice is go your own way, become yourself, stay alone for a while, follow doctor's advices. Remember, you're recovering. So who's the doctor? It might be that person you trust. It might be you. It could be, but whoever that doctor is to you right now, it could be Y7, whoever it is to you, right? Follow that advice, because that's what's got you this far. You know what I'm saying? Of course, use your own mind. Remember, stay focused on your bones, your spine, right? Be sure to stand up for what you believe in, no matter what the situation is, and protect your state of mind. You can't keep what you can't protect, and everybody's focused on keeping their car, keeping their house, you know, keeping their guns from keeping their everything except for their mind, right? So you're going to be the one that protects your mind, and that's going to allow you to make sure your bones are right and your spine is good. You see what I'm saying? So Warning is shadow, putting too much emphasis on something, gloominess, anger. Do not isolate oneself from the outer world. Satisfaction of oneself and environment. So when you're in hermit mode, right, it's like you don't cut you know what, when you do it properly, you're not cut off from the outside world. You're just focused on what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? You still are actually, because of what you're working on, that you may be researching, right? So that's not being, you may be cut off from what you're used to or what you usually do, but you're not cut off from the outside world. Just don't look at it like, you know, you're going in, you're shutting the door, you're turning off your phone, you're not on the computer, because that's depression. There's a difference between being depressed and being in hermit mode. You know what I mean? So don't get those two confused. Like hermit mode, you working on yourself, you working on something, you building, you growing. You know what I'm saying? When you were in the womb, you know, you were by yourself unless you were accompanied by, like, you know, twins and triplets and, you know, all that stuff, right? You were by yourself. You were in the darkness. You was putting that work in on yourself. You was growing. You was building your bones, your spine, and your mind. You see what I'm saying? You was being developed. But you still heard the environment outside of the womb. You still, at some point, you still acknowledged how your mother felt. You could feel that. You could sense that. You could hear what was going on outside. People would rub the belly. You would kick the hand. You know what I'm saying? So you were never cut off from the outside world, but you were apart from it while you developed yourself. And I want you to remember that, because you are coming out of the womb now and you're about to birth into that next level. You know what I mean? You're birthing yourself into the next level. So remember to keep focused on your mind, spine, and bones. So the result is go your own way. Be yourself. Do not rush. You know what I mean? So if you come out of the womb too fast, if you come out of the womb too fast, they call you a preemie, right? A premature. So make sure you take time to fully mature. That's what all of these other experiences were about that we've been talking about. That's what these what you might feel are negative times and days and moments in your life was about. It was about your maturing. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody didn't go to school and become the and show up at school and not need to learn anything, right? I mean, you might have knew something in this part of the schedule, or you might have known something in this period. You might have been ahead of the class in this class, but there was all these other classes that you may not have been as fluent in. You know what I mean? So you had to develop, period. Now, that's different for everybody. Like I said, somebody might be naturally gifted. Like if you 6'8", you know, LeBron James, you know, you might need to learn a couple little things to go to the NBA in reality. Like, you ain't really have to do much. You gotta put some work in, maintain your physique. That's easier said than done, of course. And you gotta maintain the athleticism, but you're born with certain talent, right? Okay, so if you're 5'2", you know what I mean? That might be a little bit more less of a reality for you to go to the NBA. However, that doesn't mean that your contributions to the world won't be just as powerful. You just gotta find out what your natural born talents are. You see what I'm saying? So take time to fully mature, and your past actions, you know, you find yourself. and you built up the wisdom of yourself about what you're good at, what you're not good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like, what you actually like, what you really don't like, you know, all this stuff about yourself. Now you're making moves on your own. You see what I mean? You found your own empowerment and you know its value. That makes you much more efficient now because you don't waste time no more. And it's not to say it was a waste of time when you did it, but you had to go through that for so long so that you could understand that that's not for you. You know what I mean? It's not for you. It may have felt good in the beginning. You may have liked it at the time, but in the long term, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And or that's not to say that while you were doing it, that wasn't part of your maturing. That wasn't, you know, fifth period. You know what I'm saying? On that school day that we call life. You see what I'm saying? You had classes in school that you didn't like and you didn't understand why you were in that class at the time. That you totally hated. So don't think that those periods didn't do something for you. If nothing else, it taught you you don't like history. Or if nothing else, it taught you what the hell am I going to do in home ec? You know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes you be hating home ec and then you grow up and be a fashion designer. You know what I mean? Sometimes you hate history and then you grow up talking about nationality and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's ironic, but what happened is that was all part of your maturity. You might have hated that at the time. You may like it now, but you might have hated it at the time because of what you thought the people you were trying to be cool with would think about it. You see what I'm saying? Remember what we was talking about? And then now you've outgrown them because you realize that's not the crowd for you. And you start to find your way back to what your purpose was in life. You see? And once you do that, now you studying what you felt like you didn't like before. You know what I mean? You don't, and I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm just giving the example because all of that we've been through is part of your maturity. It forced you to become alone so you could work on your mental spine and bone. Now the peer pressure don't bother you no more. You see? So you can fully mature. You see how that works? That's how you got to the core, man. That's how you got to this week's core. But it's always the perfect day. It had to happen that way. Or else it'd never happen for you. Be grateful. All right. We're going to get into your past actions now because that was your past feelings and attributes. You know what I mean? So big ups on that for you. Hey, if you haven't already done so, you know, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I mean, it's free. You know, some people charge you $50, $100 for this type of stuff. You know what I mean? If you want a personal one, hit me up. We can talk. But this is general, and from what I get feedback for, it helps a lot of people. And I'm glad of that. The energy readings alone on this channel have great value added. So, you know, just hit the like button and the notification bell, subscribe. If nothing else, that helps the channel grow. And if you found any value in this channel over the last however long you've been with us, then you should do that in support of trying to help another person experience the same bliss you found here yourself. You know what I mean? Let's help everybody grow. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I give this time for. Don't be greedy with it. Don't be selfish. All right? We were all needy once, at least. All right. So we didn't get the count, but okay. All right, give me a second. So what we got coming up now, right? In your past actions is a Two of Wands. So again, this is emotion, passion, of course, your creativity, your desires, your struggles. Remember, this is perfect for what we've just been talking about because it's the build up. It goes right along with what we've been saying. You had to choose. You had to, change your environment. You had to change yourself, and some of that's gonna mean changing the people around you and everything. So, and that deals with emotion. It deals with goal setting. It deals with your self-improvement situations. So let's see what the two is, because the two is like when the two is like, the one found itself and now basically you have time for another. You know what I mean? You see, this card got the whole world in her hand, right? So you got the whole tools and everything. The world is in your hand. You whether you knew it was there or not, it's been there the whole time, and maybe now you're just finding it. So the Lord of Dominion is the two of Wands, okay? So it's great plans, like Napoleon's choice of direction, right? Or like Napoleon's, and it says choice of direction. The event is necessary to choose right strategy. Excuse me, necessity to choose right strategy. Attempt to control the situation. See, so your past actions was you realized it was time for you to take control. All right. Oh, I put time in there twice. It was double time for you. It was double the time. Nah, so it was time for you to take control. Right? And we can say of your own destiny even. All right? So the business is formation of some plans, management, receipt of permission, consideration of a situation, income matches effort. So now you finally making what you deserve. Finally getting what you deserve. There you go. Because of what it say? Choosing the right strategy. And having a plan, we'll say it like that. Because to have a plan, you had to take time to think about it and formulate it, and that's what your past feelings was when you went in yourself and you found out who you were, and you said this was best for me because of who I am, so this is what I need to do, and then you stayed the course. Sometimes a plan makes all the difference. So relationship, necessity to overthink if it is worth to continue the relationship. Choice from several fans. So you got plenty of fish, right? When you focused on having plenty of fish, right? You're not in a situation where you're feeling scarcity. You know what I mean? So I talk about me sometimes because in this, because I want to let you know I can relate. You know what I mean? So what it is like, when you meet somebody, you know what I mean, by definition, don't you interview them? You know what I mean? Don't you have a testing period where you see what's what? You know what I'm saying? And if you do, you know why you do that? Because you're not in a rush. And what happens is, from the outside, people may or may not realize that how much in control you actually are. You know what I'm saying? your testing period might have been like, yo, move in. It's been what, y'all been talking 6 months or a year or something, and you're like, yo, come on and move in, because in your mind, you never really know a person till you live with them, right? Till you see them all the time behind that phone call, behind that face chat, that FaceTime, behind that Zoom meeting. They could be anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, am I sitting here with a pair of shorts on, or do I got jeans on right now? You don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what it's like. So when you take the time to realize, like I said, the world is in your hand. Whether that's a relationship that you're trying to, have a family with or whatever, or it's your business partners, or it's your business itself. Maybe you're involved with a job right now that when you think about who you really are, at the time it was great. Maybe you've been struggling. They were paying you right from the start. You felt good. You worked your way up a little, in pay. You're feeling better. And then now it's some years later for you, and you're like, you know what? Things have changed in my life. Not really. The things have changed in your life because you've changed. Remember, we said that earlier, right? You did the work on yourself. And that made you start to be more choosy about you. And because you were more choosy about you, your environment started to change. And now that you done changed yourself and your environment, guess what? One of the last pieces from the old way of life was or is. It's that job that you had at the time you felt like was great, but you're so far changed and your environment is so different now that it kind of doesn't really fit into that perfection of the world that you're now creating. So it's an opportunity for you to actually improve that. It's now maybe time for you to improve that situation. You see what I mean? So your business formation is, hold on, let me tend to the fire. So your business formation is going to reflect that. Give me a second. See, you gotta take your time. Take your time. Make sure it's right. All right. Cool. That's better. Okay, so the business formation, right, is formation of some plans, management, receipt of permission, consideration of a situation, the income match the effort. The relationship is a necessity to overthink, to basically decide if that's the right situation for you or not. Now, the health is a necessity to choose the right method of treatment. You see what I'm saying? Necessity to choose the right method of treatment. Again, go watch the video on YNet7 on our channel about treatment. It starts off with the word treat. You know what I mean? To treat. You'll be amazed at the definition of what that really means. I won't spoil it for you now. So, necessity to choose the right method of treatment. To strategically look at the treatment of the illness. Now, what's the illness in your life, right? That's all the things that we were talking about caused you dis-ease and or discomfort. And again, that goes back to the choices. Excuse me. Remember, this is about decisions. Because you chose the right strategy, this is now working for you. So your strategy was / is the right treatment for your disease. And I don't mean that as like your sickness or something. Well, in the sense of like, hospitalization sickness. You know what I mean? Like we said, that could be just discomfort. It could be the job, the spouse, or the current spouse, or who, whatever's going on in your life that's causing you that dis-ease or discomfort. All right. So the psychological characteristics is ambiguous and wise person who likes to choose and make plans. You're a good strategist. You see what I'm saying? So you got your chess game up, right? So in your past actions, you grew a chess game. And the advice is to settle and look around. Warning, don't settle down for a long time. Don't take time for thinking, right? So when you observe, do you have to think because you're seeing? And seeing is believing. So when you stop to smell the roses, like we talked about a week or so ago, it gives you time to pay attention to the things you never noticed before. Right? Let's go to your notes here. And remember, that's now seeing the unseen. Because see, before you wouldn't have saw that. You would have missed that. It was right there, but you wouldn't have noticed it. So the result is you will have to choose from several options. All right, crossroad. So now you got choices. You got choices where you didn't have none before. So let's take a look and see what your advice is for the present. Man, this is great. This is that time for you. This is that time for you. You know what I mean? I'm happy for you. And not only do you got choices, right? Because here's the gift and the curse of choices. If you got choices and you don't know, look, we can tie this. We can tie this in the big board pep real quick with the stocks. You got a bunch of choices, right? And we see this all the time in certain groups or in life in general. People ask, "Hey, what stock should I pick?" And that you got a lot of choices, right? But the difference between them and you, per what it's saying is going on for you now, is you put the work in, right? And now you understand why you're making a certain choice. Remember, now you got your chess game up. You got the plan up. You got the strategy up. You done studied yourself. Then self done put you onto the environment. You know this about you. You know this about the environment. You know stuff that you didn't realize before. You now see the unseen. So you don't have stuff it wants to come out. All right. So stuff, you see the unseen now, right? So you know how to make the plan instead of asking someone else for their plan. And I think that's a huge difference. All right. So, let's see here. Let me get this on the screen for you real quick. Un momento, por favor. So we're still in the wands thing, right? So this is your advice for the present. And so the King of Wands is basically just fire. The psychological characteristics is despot, egoist. Okay. So Events is pointless stampede towards the authority, mad desire of some activity. Remember this? Unquestionable authority. The cause in the business world is unquestionable authority. The cause of business suffering. People fear of such leader. Income is not as expected. Everything is otherwise. So the relationship is extreme jealousy. The health condition of a fever, and the advice is stand up for your position. The warning is do not be despot. And the result is your talents, abilities are used in a wrong way, right? So I think that's critical for the advice for the future, because it was telling you earlier to basically don't get too comfortable, right? Be careful not to relapse. Remember that? Remember that from your past feelings and attitudes we were just talking about? So I think this is timely for that. So I think that's a good reminder. Now, the pointless stampede towards the authority, mad desire of some activity, like all this is stuff that you've overcome. So the unquestionable authority, you're mastering that law, so you have the unquestionable authority now. The cause of business suffering. So it's not technically saying that you're causing the business to suffer. It just says the cause of business suffering. So I think, the vibe of this is being the advice for the present is just be careful not to relapse. Remember what caused the business to suffer. You learn from that. Remember? So part of maturing for you hold on. So part of maturing for you is you now know how to protect what you have. You see what I'm saying? And because of that, and that makes others that used to get to you jealous that they no longer have such an effect on you. Right? So you gotta realize that they're jealous that they can't affect you no more. And when it says health condition is a fever, I think that just means you're hot. You hot right now. Because know that you hot right now, because again, that's gonna change things for you. You hot right now, so know that you hot right now. You know what I mean? People that didn't care about you 6 months ago is now gonna be, hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? That could be you. If you entertain those situations, you're using your talent in the wrong way. You know what I mean? That'll be the result. So Again, this is about choices. It's about choices. So let's take a look at this, right? What we had the King of Wands in reverse. All right. So where that got us to, and you can see the little fire, you know, it's like what I just did over here with my sage bowl. The fire was underneath the stick. I was using the sage, the unlit sage, and the fire was underneath of it. So if I keep the fire underneath the sage, it's gonna smother the fire. It's gonna put out the flame. And I was over here stomping out the flame with the unburnt sage. The fire, the coals, everything was underneath. I put the sage down on top of it. It smothered it. You see that there? And if you look at that wand, it's got leaves on it, so it's fresh. That means it's wet. That means that fire is gonna have to do a lot of work to catch that stick on fire, and start that to burn before the stick smothers the fire. Who do you think is gonna win that battle? You see what I mean? So you gotta be careful. The crown upside down. You see what I mean? The whole king is upside down. All right. So take a look at that, because let's go over where we're at. So at the core, you made it out of conflict to find peace, changing what you're working on, leaving behind what doesn't work for you, for what's best for you. That causes recovery in life on your journey. Now you're empathetic. You're starting to see the unseen and avoiding conflicts. You know what I mean? So work on you to change what's around you. Keep doing that. Stay focused, right? So from the past feelings and attributes, you found yourself, you built up wisdom, you making moves on your own, you found empowerment, and you know its value now. Now you're more efficient. You're customizing life. You could only you could only be by yourself to find yourself. Loner. Be careful not to relapse. Key, and it's reiterated here right now. So peer pressure doesn't bother you no more. Remember that. So make sure you take the time to fully mature. See, because the peer pressure, remember we talked about it's nice in the beginning, and then you get there. Now, if you relapse, you're not fully mature yet. You slip back into adolescence. You see what I mean? So make sure you take the time to fully mature. Like when you get birthed out of the womb, you can't come halfway out, see you out there and be like, okay, let me go back in for another 2-3 weeks and party some more, and then I'll be back out. You know what I mean? It don't work like that. So when you take this step, know that this step, you're not going back from here. You're only going up. Okay? So your past actions help you realize it was time to take control of your own destiny. You finally getting what you deserve now because of choosing the right strategy for you and having a plan for you instead of trying to be what others wanted you to be and what all that peer pressure was doing to you. You realize there's plenty of fish now. So that little fish bowl you had of people, places and things, you're not as codependent upon it anymore because it's a big world out there. And as you grow, if that fish bowl is no longer fitting you, then you realize there's a whole ocean out there to choose from, and you're picking the right treatment for your own disease. And now you grew a chess game, right? So the advice for the present, that brings us to the advice for the present, which is be careful not to relapse. Part of maturing is for you. Part of maturing for you is to now know how to protect what you have. You see what I'm saying? And remember that makes others that used to get to you jealous, right? Because they used to you getting a little bit and they come in and do their little magic and you just lose everything, fall back down with them. They like, yeah, welcome back. You see what I'm saying? But that little magic ain't working for them no more because you focused on, you fully mature now. You know what I mean? You grew a chess game. You got your plan, your strategy up. So you got to know that that's going to make them jealous, right? They're going to be envious of you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to envy you, right? And they don't know that they really not envying you. They just hating on themselves because, like we talked about in the beginning, they have their own talents they could be developing, but they too busy in their mind competing with you when you may not even know y'all competing. You may just be so focused on you and they feel like y'all in a race and you ain't racing. But if you knew you were racing, then they might really be mad because you would really start to speed up and to race mode, and they wouldn't have a chance where they thought they were gaining on you, or they thought that they were, whatever it is. So that's going to make them jealous that they can't get to you no more. So you got to know that. You got to move differently now, because now people coming out of the woodwork that would have never gave you that opportunity before, right? So you hot. Remember the fever? You got the fever. You hot right now, so you got to know that you hot. So watch out for the people that wasn't there 6 months ago. If you are not careful, you'll relapse to using your talents in the wrong way. If they weren't there, I mean, I'm not talking about people maybe that you just met and they're still in your interview process. I don't mean that they weren't there 6 months ago, although definitely pay them some attention. But what I'm getting at is the people that was in your fishbowl that was like, you'll never make it, or why should I support you, or oh, you want some interaction, or all that bullshit that they be saying. When they start coming back, pay attention to that shit, because one, it's going to do two things. It's going to showcase to you that you reached a level that they at the time didn't think you would make it to. So what that's going to do is be a confirmation of your growth. Because sometimes you be just focused on what you're doing and you don't realize how far you've made it yourself. So take that moment as confirmation that you're doing this on the staircase, that you're on the escalator, that you're on the elevator, and you didn't realize how far you've traveled in that hot air balloon while you done took off in the 767 or the G6, whatever fit in your bill. You see what I'm saying? You didn't realize you done got up that high, but now you get confirmation of your growth, because now they come to you now because they like, yo, hey. But if you relapse back into that old environment, remember, that's what helps keep you stagnant before. That's what helped keep you. Do you think they really have some different intentions for you this time? So if you are not careful, you will relapse back into using your talents in the wrong way. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying? Now let's see how you feel about that, because that's the advice. But I think you guys already know it, because that's part of why you made the choices to get up out of those situations. You know what I mean? We talked about that for the last couple weeks, and I'm proud of you that you took a couple weeks, at least if not more, to think about that, because that shows that you just not willy-nilly, flying by wire out here or whatever. You're actually a strategist. You took the time to think about it, look things over, think about you, think about them, think about the environment, think about the future, think about the past. You thought about everything, and you made the choice, the best choice for you. You didn't just act off emotional. You didn't just react. You're responding. So fucking congratulations to you. Yeah, take a moment, look over the notes, see what stands out to you, because some of it's gonna hit you harder than other people. All right, so let me get this on the screen for y'all. All right, so what we got, right, is the wheel, and we got the wheel of fortune in reverse, okay? So now the old name of this was the Sphinx, okay? And it's about destiny, all right? And recession, negative karma, luck loss, delay, disturbing, the collapse of the old problems, right? So your present feelings and ideas, recession, the loss, right? Luck loss. I think luck is up and loss is down, right? Because it's bringing up you're focused on the negative karma, but it makes sense now. Because remember, we were just talking about the advice for the president is they jealous, or the people that are on your side is understood, okay? But let's say as far as the advice for the present is to be careful about the people coming back from 6 months ago, the people that are jealous of your success, the people all of the reasons that's going to help you relapse into the wrong, into using your talents for the wrong way, right? So that's going to have your present feelings and ideas focused on negative karma, because I think it's really easy when those people return for us in our immaturity to view them in a negative fashion, right? To view them as something negative now is happening to them, okay? And I want you to know that's the wrong mindset. Because once you start focusing on negative karma, whether it's for somebody else or whatever, you're now praying for that situation. And that's not what you want at this moment, because you're on a great ride up. So your luck is up, your loss is down. I'm going to say negative. Don't worry. Don't focus on negative karma. And that's why if they've done you wrong, it's best, and you know that they're injury prone, right? Then it's best for you to just totally avoid the situation, because otherwise in the back of your mind, you're always going to be focused on the next injury. You see what I'm saying? And if you're focused on the next injury, again, you're asking for the next injury instead of what you've learned to do, which is focus on you and build what you want and what you need. Now you're worried about somebody else in a negative way, which just compounds the situation. You're worried about them, which is not you. So now you're focused on their race and not yours. You focus on their goals and not yours. And you're either trying to protect yourself from the possibility of negativity, or you're in your immature state celebrating something that they feel bad now. You know, yeah, you should have been there when I was, you know what I mean? And you might say that, but if your intent is just to say to yourself, you know, I worked through that, I've made it, I overcame, and now this is confirmation that I'm on this level, that's okay. If that's your intent of what you're saying. But if your intent is to try and belittle them or to try and say that's what you get type stuff, now you're negative karma. You see what I'm saying? So be careful with that right now, because it's really easy to feel that way. And it's natural, because damn, you mad, you angry. Remember what it was talking about before? Anger, you know, all that stuff. So you upset. It's upsetting to see them return after all the work is done. You know what I mean? Like when you have a barbecue and this person don't bring nothing and don't help we cook, don't do nothing, don't say nothing, don't do nothing, like not even talk to people, interact, nothing, and then they just walk off with a plate. I mean, you feel good that you were able to help them, but at the same time, you're like, man, what's up with, you see what I mean? So it's like that, you know, Kobe wasn't shooting with me in the gym, you know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. You see, so it's natural. I'm giving you examples how it's natural to feel that way, but in your maturity, you're going to not allow that to consume you. Because once you start to focus on that, it's going to redirect you into the wrong direction. All right? All right, so keep focus on that. Did I put it down? Yeah, don't focus on negative karma to others. I'm going to add to others because of your success. Just focus on more success. So, because of, you know, the events of that, right, is going to be stagnation of affairs, failure, untimely start, stop of turnover or decrease of its level, old goods, and the impossibility to realize them. See what I mean? So all that's what's going to happen. The stagnation of affairs, failure, untimely start, stop of turnover or decrease of its level. So if basically, if not, you're going to slip and fall. If not, you'll fall. Okay? And remember, that's what they coming back for. You see what I mean? You see how that work? They coming back because they want to get close enough to you to see the stick. The thing about the stick is it's only so long. The staff is only so long. The wand is only so long. Even the sword is only so long. But in this case, it was the wand and the fire was underneath of it. So you have to get close enough to the flame to be able to use the tool that you have to stuff out the flame. So when they didn't see you fire, remember you weren't fevering 4 months ago. You weren't hot. So they didn't give a fuck. They was far away. They was far as they wanted to be. They was in Tokyo. You know what I mean? They didn't give a fuck. Now you got a little flame going. They coming back because they got to get close enough for that wand to be able to touch you, to try and put out the flame. So you got to be careful of that, because if not, you're going to resort back to the stagnant. Everything that you just worked so hard to get away from, you're going to resort right back to that. You're going to relapse. This is what you need to know. But it sounded like you overcame all this, but this is what's on your mind, and this is the answer to satisfy that on your mind. Do not focus on them. Be cordial. Hey, how you doing? Thank you. All right, cool. Always perfect day. Keep it moving. And it's not pure that you running from them. It's pure that you so busy running towards your goals and destinations that, you know, nothing else pulls you out of your race. You see what I'm saying? You running your race. You on your NASCAR. You on your Indy 500. You're on your Kentucky Derby. You're on your cannonball run. You're on your marathon, triathlon, decathlon, whatever you doing. You on your own. Like, don't forget that. All right. So in a relationship, the end is coming up. Let's get back to the wheel in reverse. So the end is coming up. There is no motion in the development of a relationship. So they coming back, right? But guess what? It's the end. I mean, they coming back, but it's over. It's got to be over. And I mean, I'm not saying you don't, like I said, I'm not saying you don't speak to them ever again. If they text you, call you, whatever. What I'm saying is the way it was is over. It's over. That's done. That's done for you. And it's not about them. It's about you. Okay. So we're just going to put, make sure all the old ways are over. Because the trickery is the design is to get the wine close enough to you. And they may be jealous and envious. They may be coming back to make you fall again. They're not used to you being this high, this hot, this feverish, but they coming back with the same technique. So guess what? If they realize that you actually are on to their old ways, they may try something new. You see what I'm saying? Something that you might not be prepared for, to get close enough to you to put the stuff out your fire. You see what I'm saying? That's all they trying to do is get close enough, however it takes to get there. So the old ways have to be over, period. All right. So the health is a slow recovery, fears, power recession. All right. Psychological characteristics is repetition of the old mistake. You see what I mean? Again, that's what you're going to avoid this week because you know it. You know it. You know it. Inability to see positive things, destructive thinking. So again, that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Don't focus on the negative karma for them. Don't focus on, because technically that makes you hating on them now. I mean, I'm not saying you might not feel like it's owed to you for a little moment, but don't focus on that energy, period. Focus on what you're actually after. All right. Because otherwise that's destructive thinking. Okay. Otherwise, so what we're going to say is make sure all the old ways are over. Otherwise you are inviting destructive thinking back in. Okay. The advice is to learn to see the positiveness in any situation. See? So the warning is shadow, fatality, loss of the fire of life. Right? You can't make this stuff up. So fear of tomorrow. Again, like I said earlier, you'll be so concerned over you'll be so much in defense. And we know we've heard this saying before that the best offense is a great defense. But guess what? If you can't score because you're so focused on defense and you never score, you're making it real easy for the competition. I mean, all they got to do is score 1 point, whether that's basketball, football, soccer, hockey, because all you playing is defense. You so defensive, you aren't producing any offense. You know that's a bad thing. You got to have a balance. I mean, at least you got to have a balance. You can't be, I'm not going to say you can't be, but it wouldn't be the best situation to be a total, complete gym rat and not have a plan to make any money at all, period. And you're like you're like, fuck it. I don't do nothing to make money. I'm not making any money, but I'm flexing. Because what happens is you could be that strong, you could be that built, but when you constantly worried about how you're gonna pay your bills, that's stressful. And when that stress level go up every day for a long extended period of time, your cortisol level goes up. Your body systems are gonna shut down. Your digestive system gonna shut down. Your cardiovascular system gonna shut down. Your lung system, respiratory system, your whole system shut down, regardless of how much you went to the gym. So you can't actually focus too much on one thing for too long without it having an effect on the whole balance situation. Okay, so the warning is in the shadow. You got fatality. Again, if you're not balanced, something's dying. Some part of you is dying. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have that upside down king of wands. It'll be what they say, loss of the fire of life, and you're gonna be fearful of tomorrow. Let me get that in the notes for you real quick. I'm saying this is great though. Excuse me. All right, so let's see where the situation is headed. All right, if you want to take a moment and review that, I mean, this is great, man. Like, I think it's gonna be a good time for y'all. You done came a long way. You done worked too hard. You done worked too hard. Go ahead and review that. Read that over. I hope you can see that. Again, if you haven't already, now it's time to go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We got a whole bunch of different kind of energy readings on here. Etymology, stock markets, tarot, and even emotion. Thank you. All right, so we want to see where this is going, right? 539, 12, 17, 8. You made it out. That's where it's going. Look, confirmation. Confirmation. A lot of wands on your table today. All right, so let me get this on the screen for you. All right, right. So So here's where you at, right? The 10 of Wands. Okay, this is where this is going. It's the Lord of Oppression, right? Great burden. Okay. Now, the events is taking too much of responsibilities, burden. This card is a symbol of walked path, past tense. You see those mountains behind you in the background there? That's you to overcame. Let me get this in the note. You to overcame all this shit, right? You have you have overcome, right? The mountains are behind you. Okay? Look at the image. Look at the image. You got a little bruising, you know what I mean? You got a little battered. You might got some blood dripping. You know what I'm saying? But you survived. Okay? You survived and you made it out. You get what I'm saying? This is how this started. The core. Go back to the core. You done made it out. This is where this is going. You made it out. You got all these wands, but you got all these sticks. You got one stick to hold you up. You got more sticks like arrows for your bow. You got defensive sticks. You got offensive sticks. You got sticks for everything. You got a tool for everything. You got an axe. You got a hammer. You got a whole bunch of sticks. They all got leaves on them. They all could grow. They all have growth potential. You done made it over the hills, the wilderness. Look how barren that looks. Look how dark it is in the background there over that sky. You done came out of the darkness. You into the light now. You, of course, you bruised, beaten, and bewildered and tired. You know what I mean? You're fatigued. You struggled. You had a lot of struggle. But what we talk about in the beginning, it's time for you to choose the right treatment to heal. This is about your recovery period now. Now, the only way you could go back is if you turn around and go back yourself. It don't matter who's sitting on that mountaintop calling you. No matter who's sitting on that mountaintop calling you. If you go back, you went back. They not coming to get you. You see what I'm saying? Now, you got two choices at this point. I'm going to put it like this. Hold on. Let me put it in the notes. Because everything's a choice. And I'm going to put it to you like this. At this point, where you at right now, you got two choices. You can be addicted to the struggle, turn around and go back to struggling, or you can be addicted to your recovery to being complete and whole. The choice is yours right now. That's where this is headed. You see what I'm saying? Everything you see there can heal. That scratch on the eye, I mean, those stitches, the little stitching area, the little teary drip blood, little band, whatever the bandana is on the eye, the hair look a little rough, right? All that can be fixed with time. But you got all the wands. You got all of them, all 10 of them. You got all of them. I mean 9, excuse me. Right? So it's actually the Lord of Strength, excuse me. So this shows how you've overcome. Okay? Now the general meaning is protection and defense. So I misspoke on that a little while ago. But when you look at the reading of the card, you don't overcame, the mountains are behind you. Okay? So protection and defense is what this card is about. And that makes total sense when you look at the card. Because, like I said, you can choose to turn around and go back, or you can move forward into recovery. And we go back to the to your notes, right? It's saying protect your mind. Remember, your mind, your spine, and your bones. So you're going to have to stand up for what you believe in now. Because, see, now that you're on this side of the mountain range, you're on this part of your journey, your view, remember, you're seeing the unseen now. When you were on the other side of the mountains back there in the past, you didn't know what was on this side now. You may not have known it was worth getting over the mountains to get to this point, to find the promised land. You may not have realized how valuable it was for you to reach this point, but now you over here and now you see it for yourself, right? So you're seeing the unseen now that we spoke of earlier. So you gotta protect your new position in life, because the people on the other side that's calling you back over, that want you to come back, they may be afraid to cross over the mountains. You go back to tell them what's on the other side, they're going to try to keep you and stuff your fire out, take a wand or get their wand and put your flame out so that you can't reignite and recover. You know what I mean? You got the fever right now. You hot. You done made it over to the hot side. Okay? It's dark. It's cold. It's lonely over there. It's frozen. It's the wilderness. It's bright over here. Look at the shadows. The shadows are on the back side of the mountain. This part is lit up for whatever reason. The light is facing the front of you. The shadow is behind you. So you are facing the light. You are walking towards the light. You can keep going to the light, or you can return to the darkness, but you have to choose to protect and defend your new position and your new direction. You see what I mean? Don't return back over to the other side of the mountains. The choice is yours, though. You see, you came out of there scarred up, bloody, tired, raggedy, but you made it. So the business is closed, isolated business, conservative business, no strength and necessity to change anything. Business is not developing, step by step, dying business. Now, go back and look at the video on busy, and I think that's a great thing, because a lot of us don't want to be busy, because when you're busy, this is what you look like at the end of the day. Remember, you drained yourself. You're working all day for someone else, making their life what they wanted to be, while you're wishing you could do more for yourself. You're getting beat up, bruised, bewildered for someone else, and you have no time left for yourself. That's what's on the other side of the mountain. That's why they want you to come back. They want you to feel, they want to feel like you're still there with them, instead of them feeling like they've put the work in like you did to join you where you're at now. See, because you had to put the work in to climb up over the mountain. There was no easy path. He's not in the new 7 Series. He's not in the FJ Cruiser. He didn't just ride over the mountain. He had to hike over the mountain. And it's not to say that the other side actually put the scars and the blood and all that stuff on him. It could have been the journey itself. He could have been climbing up the mountain and fell. Got cut up, got back up, kept walking. He could have thought it would take him a week, and it took him 6 months. Got caught in a snowstorm at the top of the mountain, whatever. Hair messed up. All kinds of stuff. But that it ain't playing for it. But you made it through. Okay? So you had to close the business. You had to close your busyness. See, you were too busy focusing on everything but you. That's where this is going. So now that busyness is closed. Now your busyness is isolated. You done narrowed your focus onto what your actual journey is. Okay? Your busyness is now considered conservative because it's honed in on your goals and your purpose. And now you have no need to change anything, because you found yourself, you made the right choices, and you playing your chess game. All right? And then every step you take, you getting closer to the light of freedom. So that means your busyness is dying behind you. You are becoming less and less busy and more free. You see what I mean? So your relationships become it says alienation, right? The experience of former relationship is oppressing you. Like we just said, if you go back over that mountain if you want to, you see what I mean? The health is too much of unnecessary emphasis on illness. Remember, Don't focus on what's wrong. Focus on what's the solution to healing is. This is about your healing now. Unless you want to go back to being sick. Right? Unless you want to go back to the disease, back to the discomfort. That's your choice. But where you at right now, you're walking towards the light. All right? So the psychological characteristics is completely self-satisfied, self-contained person. The advice defends oneself from possible troubles. The warning is do not switch to a blind defense. And the result is you shall build walls. All right. So that's where you're going. And I'm just gonna keep it simple in the notes. You have overcome. The mountains are behind you. Now you can be addicted to the struggle or the recovery. The choice is yours. I mean, that's where you at right now. So let's get some advice for the future. It's like how many times you done seen that it might have been your brother, sister, your neighbor, your somebody you seen, if not yourself, where you like, man, I'm done with them. You know, this might be your significant other. You like, man, I'm done with them. You talking to you, I'm done with them. I ain't fooling with them no more. This, that, and the other. And then they see you next week. What you doing, man? I'm over so and so's crib. You know what I'm saying? You just talk about they just try to poison you, take you out. You back over there eating dinner at 6. You know what I mean? Like, what's up? That don't even make sense, man. You survived. You made it out. You bruised. You scarred up. You tired. All that can be healed. All that can be replaced. Choose the right strategy for your recovery. Get healed. You walk into the light. You know what I'm saying? And part of those bruises, part of those scars could be the fact that you remember we talked about for the last couple of weeks. You had to make some really hard choices when it came to your environment and people around you. So some of those bruises could be the fact that you had to leave them to begin with. They'll never look at it that way though. They'll never understand you made it, but the part of the pain is that you had to leave them behind. You see what I mean? They'll never get that. They'll never understand that part. They'll never understand that when they're jealous of you. They'll never understand that when they're hating on you. That part of why you're delayed. It was talking about delay. Part of why you were delayed even getting there to begin with was trying to get them to come with you. You stayed in the struggle and the suffer longer than you had to, trying to save them, and they still ain't gonna appreciate that from you. Some of them watching right now talking about, I never thought about it like that. Damn, I'm fucking hating on so-and-so. He did, she did try to say this, tell me go do that. I was like, yo, fuck you. And now I'm sitting here like, damn, they don't, that's exactly what I should have been there with them. And you know what? It's okay because it's not for them to be there with you. Part of their maturity, right, is to have to feel that and experience that you made it without them, to help influence what they're supposed to become in life. You see what I mean? So your bruising will heal because it's always the perfect day, and what's behind you in its entirety, in its infinity, is behind you for a reason. So protect your new environment by not falling back over the mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that game? It's a game. They be out in the middle of nowhere just picking up packages. It's on PlayStation 4 or whatever. Anyway, when you going where you going, right, you could build a ladder. You could leave a ladder for yourself and for others. You can hook a rope to help climb up this part of the mountain and leave it there. You know, so you've left the breadcrumbs, most likely. You know, you tried to drag them along. They may have been kicking and screaming. That may have been part of your bruising. You had to leave them behind. Part of your bruising is you climbed by yourself, and that made the journey even that much more harder. You fell, you cut yourself up, you whatever, right? But that ain't say you didn't leave the breadcrumbs the whole time. That ain't say you didn't invest in them the way to get there before you even left. That's not to say you didn't leave the map. You see what I'm saying? So when you look over there, over that mountain, and you feel like, man, they in the dark, I should go do something. Know that you probably already done everything you could do or needed to do. And now it's up to them. You see what I'm saying? That should be a catalyst to your recovery. Because once you stop focusing on the past and the negative karma, remember we were just talking about that, the more you can be catalytic to your own recovery. You see what I'm saying? And again, from their perspective, they not going to understand that. They going to just feel like you just left them behind, gave up on them. They going to say everything because in grief, it's easy for you to blame. And that's the same thing. You can't blame them for being where they're at because they're right where they're supposed to be. The moment you start blaming them, remember what we said, don't use the negative karma. The minute you start blaming them, it's now putting you're speaking and thinking from an emotion of grief yourself. So even though you done made it, now you start grieving again, which now changes your whole vibration and attracts real reasons to actually be grieving. There you go. That's too many. That's the danger of that. So protect your mind. Protect your mind. You left ladders, ropes, breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel, road maps. And that was before, and that was after you spent time telling them to come with you. I mean, be proud. You did all that you could do. All right. Let's see what we got here. We're going to see what the advice for the future is, which we probably just covered it. But we're going to pull this last card. All right. So what we got for the advice for the future? Let me get this on the screen for you. I really appreciate y'all. Look at y'all growing and developing. So we got the King of Pentacles in reverse. Now the psychological characteristics of this is rational, practical, right? Distrustful and reserved. Okay? Which what we said, you got to be on your P's and Q's, man. You hot right now. Shit get ready to change for you. It's gonna be a whole nother ball game for you when you get hot. If you ain't practiced for it, you know what I mean? If you ain't ready for it, then it could catch you off guard. But a lot of you've been training your whole life for this. So it's like again, look. A lot of this darkness and that mountain climb was to prepare you for what you're supposed to become. So when you feel distrustful, know that's your instinct, that's your gut. When you feel trusting, know that that's your instinct, that's your gut. You see what I mean? Because you done been through enough experience to help you. Now, that's not to say you're going to always be right. So remember, your chess game. You make moves in chess. Sometimes the plan don't go as right, but what happens is you have contingency factors in that plan to accommodate the possibilities of your error when you have a proper plan, right? So you ready, okay? So the events are going to be in parsimonious women. I gotta look that up. Hold on. What is parsimonious? Unwilling to spend money or use resources, stingy or frugal. That could go two ways. Either they unwilling, because you hot now, they feel like they don't need to do nothing, right? Or this could be those people coming back, or this could be the new people coming. Remember, you hot now. So you're going to be this a whole, look, the light, look. What's that in front of you lighting you up? That's the heat. That's the flame. You hot now. You know what I'm saying? You out of the cold. So it's a different world right now. So now you made it. Part of what happens when you make it is everybody feel like you got it. You know what I mean? Go ahead and do you. Do it for us all. You know what I mean? And that could be a gift and a curse, right? That's how you lose it real quick because you start spending it on everything but what you're supposed to. So now either they're gonna be like I said, stingy and feel like they don't have to contribute, or on the flip side, on the good side, it could be that you're now around the ones that are like, nah, don't spend your money, don't waste it. I can help. Or just don't do it at all. We're still on this climb to get to here. You know what I mean? So you might have been around people that wanted you to spend, and because you didn't have in your struggle, they stopped coming around. You know what I mean? And this could go both ways. For the men, it's women, most likely, or most of the time, and for the women, it could be, you guys know what I'm saying. It's 2020. It's hard to even make reservations like that anymore, just without emotional shit. So anyway, your significant other could be willing to help you now. And that's not to say it's going to be the same significant other from the past, but people in your life in general are going to make sure you stay focused on what your goal is. Those are the new people around you. Okay, and they may not mix with the old people, which is part of also the reason why you probably don't need to be going back to the dark side. So now, events is engaging only in one's personal affairs. Isolation from other people, the outer world does not interest. Okay, it's critical. So you're satisfied with yourself, and Okay, so you'll never worry for a thing not worth worrying. So you're not gonna sweat the small stuff anymore, and you're the boss of life now. All right. Ability to use others' achievements or own good. So again, that's where you're gonna be. That's where you're gonna be looking at the situation like, look, you're where you're at because that's the perfect time in your own growth and development and your plan of maturity. All right. So the business is gonna be corruption, warm place, large bribes, material frustration of subordinates. Okay. So relationship is I give you, you give me. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? So advice is be more strict when material questions are being solved. And the warning is you become greedy, you suffer from greediness. Okay? Result, take your penny from everywhere is possible. Your penny, like your copper, your penny. All right? So basically the advice for the future is if you stick to all right, so look, right? You made it out of the conflict. You found yourself. You built up the wisdom, the knowledge, the know-how. You knew that it was time to take control of your own destiny, but you got to be careful not to relapse. All that you've been through is part of your maturity, okay? Your luck is up, so to speak. Your loss is down, but don't focus on blaming others because that puts you in a state of grief, okay? You have overcome. The mountains are behind you. You can be now either addicted to the struggle and relapse, or you can be addicted to your accomplishments and continue to climb. You don't have to worry. Now, the advice for the future is don't worry about the small stuff. Don't worry about things that you can't control. And you can't control what's going on the darkness of those mountains right now on the other side. You see what I'm saying? Now you're in a situation where your relationships are more like, I give you, you give me. They're going to, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. We're going to look out for each other. You see what I mean? You got talents, I got talents. They may not be the same, but we're gonna build each other up because iron sharpens iron. Just because you're not iron in maybe athletics doesn't mean you're not iron in like some other wisdom or some other skill, some other attribute. You see what I'm saying? So now that's gonna happen for you in your life. So be looking for that. Okay? Be more strict when material questions are being solved. Like now you're more focused. Remember we talked about you being more disciplined. You don't built up the wisdom. And the warning is if you become greedy, you suffer from greediness. Okay? So we talk about this in stocks all the time, the fear of missing out. Like you didn't have it last week. So if you make it this week, why would you risk losing everything because you wanted a little more? Like you didn't have any of this. So know that you're right where you're supposed to be in life. And just take that walk. It's part of your journey. Take your penny from everywhere is possible. Your penny, PENNY. Take your penny from everywhere as possible. Now you're satisfied with oneself. You see what I mean? You're the boss of life now. And you're convinced that you can buy and sell anything. That's what happens. You now basically you found your power. Okay? Welcome to the bright side of things. Pasha Pyro, YNet7. Thank you for tuning in to replay the Tarot Files. Enjoy.